Good morning. How is everybody doing today? It's a beautiful morning. I hope you've been practicing your gratitude that we talked about last week. And if I hope that you're noticing a difference already. So go and put in the chat. Boy, okay, I've got to say the lighting in my room. Look at it, look how dark my neck is.
All right, are we restarting?
No, we're not going to restart. We're gonna go with it.
This is one of the joys of being live, of being on Zoom. And you know what? Life, and isn't it absolutely a life lesson? Things happen.
Yeah. And it didn't look like that before we started. Anyway.
And okay, so I'm going to tell on us too, but isn't it funny how we notice things about ourselves?
True.
Like with me last week, before we went on the show, I said, Carol, do my lips look odd? And she said, well, one of them isn't, your lipstick is a little higher on one. So what did I do before we did the show? I went and fixed my lips.
But I didn't notice that I have a dark neck. Maybe I should just put my hand there. And then I look like I have a disembodied neck.
Disembodied neck. But you know what? This is the thing. So I am back to last week a little bit.
I am grateful that I have light.
That we have lights. I'm ABarbaraEllison, founder of the Wellness Playroom. I'm on a mission to make happiness the norm rather than the exception. That's part of being happy. That's, having your health and having income and having great relationships and all of those things. But it's also being grateful for the things that happen. So this is one of the you do look different today, and which is okay, because you know what? That's life.
Yes.
And so
everybody looks different every day, a little bit.
Everybody looks different every day.
But they do. Think about if you are with your child and they're little and they're growing and you don't notice it, but then grandma comes in and she hasn't seen him in 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
And goes, oh my God, you've grown. And then you realize, or you don't realize they're growing and all of a sudden their jeans are high water and you have to go to the store and buy new jeans for 3 boys.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, look at what you and I talked about just a little while ago of ourselves. I went for myself. I went from being 4'11" to 5'5" between grade 4 and grade 5. So that's what you're 12. That's when I had my growth spurt, 4'11" to 5'5".
That was tall for a 5th grader.
That was, I went from being a short, fat, roly-poly kid to being a beanpole and the tallest girl in the class. Oh no, but because in grade 5, I was the tallest kid in the class. Talk about, identity crisis. It was just craziness. But the physical trauma that did in my body was horrendous. They called it growing pains. Mm-hmm. Talk about growing pains. I was in agony. I wish they had the science that we have now to help me go through that then.
Yes.
Just amazing. And so I'm just grateful for the fact that, number one, that I survived it. But now that I do know, because now I'm in my older years, I'm not, but you know what? I am reverse aging.
You're in
out there. I am just.
God promises it's 120 years. So you're just
exactly. I am just now into midlife, and he promises 120 years.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't believe that, go look at Genesis 6. I think it's 6. Yeah. But Genesis 6, he says, I have appointed unto man 120 years.
But you know what? I'm believing God for more than that. I'm thinking that why not 150?
Yeah. If you're healthy and you're rocking it, why not?
Why not? So that kind of brings up our conversation of today is, are you aligning with what you believe?
Do you believe what you're saying?
Do you believe what you're saying?
Are you just spouting things that you've read in hopes it'll catch, throwing spaghetti against the wall in hopes it'll catch?
Right. And one of the things I think we really do have to adjust is however you call that higher being. Some people call it the universe. Carol and I, we are women of faith, and we believe that God created the universe. Mm-hmm. So whatever else you call it, that's entirely up to you. Some people call it source. Some people call it, goddess, whatever, there's so many names, but it's that higher, as long as you know that there is a higher being. Carol and I are women of faith, so we call it God. But we're not saying
more specifically, his name is Jesus.
And more specifically, his name is Jesus. And we believe that. The thing is, though, it's being in alignment with that. Carol talks all the time about the spiraling up or the spiraling down. Mm-hmm. Well, when you are in alignment, you are going to be on the upward spiral. And so one of the things that how it starts, though, is with appreciation and gratitude.
Amen. Amen. Back to that same little thing we were saying the other day.
And if you haven't listened to last week's episode, please go back and listen to it. We do go off on bunny trails. Absolutely. Absolutely. However, but it starts with, there's always the energy. It's vibration. That vibration is love. And that's the high, and they have proven that the highest vibration is love. And whether you believe in energy or not, it's there. It's kind of like gravity. You might not believe that gravity is there, but boy, you put a baby on the side of a couch and it's learning how to roll. Guess what? It'll roll off the couch and onto the floor.
Or if you jump off the Empire State Building, you will splat.
You will drop. You will drop. That is gravity. It's a universal law. Well, energy, they have taken it that all the levels of, of love and all the way down to despair. And I can't remember, grief is the lowest. Is grief? I'm going to have to look. I will research that because I don't remember.
My little research maven.
My little research. And I'm going to tell myself, I never used to be. Never used to be. It was like research. Oh, really? Seriously? Now I am loving it because we can learn so much. But anyways, they have a whole scale. And it's because it's called an emotional guidance scale. Mm-hmm. You can see where you are on the scale. Well, gratitude is at the top and love is at the top. When you can have love when you can, all you need is love, the hippie movement, that's all you need is love. Well, there's truth in that. Mm-hmm. There is truth in that. And that's why I think it's just so important to just really show that, and like last week we talked about, write down the things that you're grateful for and speak out loud the things that you are grateful for.
It will change your world. But when you were talking about the hippie time and all of that, I thought about mood rings.
I had one. I used to have one.
I did too. But I had a friend that dealt in that, in the emotions. And on her business card, she had a little thing and you put your finger on it. I don't know where that business card is. And it would show you where you are. And somehow it has to do with the frequency and or heat of your body at that moment. Right. Because fear gets your adrenaline going and, the fight or flight syndrome kicks in. Frequency. And it is very, if you are living in fear, you really need to do a check, because fear takes more energy, more nutrients. It takes from you.
Right.
Where love and joy benefit your body. It's just like a smile. Okay. A smile, I don't remember the number of muscles anymore, but a smile is like a third of the muscles of a frown. And try to frown. I mean, it's not easy when you're a happy person. Okay.
Right. And right. And it becomes a spontaneous thing. You can pass on a smile. Mm-hmm. And like a friend of mine, his goal is to do 10 million smiles. He has it on his car.
Mhm.
Put a smile on your face. He calls it the Smile Mobile. And he just did a drive. We'll have to interview him.
Yeah, we need to interview him for
He just,
Thursdays.
yeah, he just drove from Florida to New York with his Smile Mobile. Wow. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
To bring smile. So that brings us to we're just going to talk about a few things of things that you can do. Because so the second thing I want you to think about is do something that feels good. And it even compounds it when you do something that feels good to you and when you do it for somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and that goes in, do you know that we all have languages of love? We have things, and we used to teach that when we traveled and did seminars, but there's languages of love. Some people like touch. They like to be hugged. They like to be kissed on the cheek and that kind of stuff. Some people like gifts, and that's their language of love. They love to receive something in the mail, and especially unexpectedly.
Right.
Then there's words. My oldest son is really, really big into the words. He loves to get a card. He loves to get a note. And then there, yeah, and there, so everybody has these different kind of thing, and some of them are gifts of service. The people that they feel especially cared for when you do something to serve them, to bring them a meal, to clean their house, to whatever. And so those, I think there's 6 of them, but there's 4 of the 6. And, the problem is we tend to want to give what we like.
What we want.
And say, if I'm always giving Barbara, and I'm drawing a blank as to what mine really is at the moment, because it's like personalities, like she does with her bank. It's a blend, but
right.
You have a major one. But like, say, if mine was gifts, and I tried to always send her gifts, and she, oh, okay, thanks. Okay, thanks. But if I'm where I can give her a hug, a touch, even over Zoom, you can sort of do it, but especially when we're in person together, which by the way, we're going to get to be in.
We're so excited.
She's going to do a road trip down here, and then we're going to go do a road trip over to the most amazing event about. Yeah, let's do. It's an event, and Brandon Broadwater, who has shared the stage with people like, Robert Kiyosaki and all of those.
Tony Robbins.
Yeah, Tony Robbins and some of them. So y'all have heard those names. Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad, for those of y'all that don't know him by name. But he used to share the stage with these type people. And he is doing an event that we get to go to. It's not company promoted. It is just for everyone to come and dig deep into them and what motivates them to heal areas that they're struggling with. And there's so many ways to get to that level. So if somebody is struggling and they want to go to an event, we can actually get you tickets really, really reasonably this month. There are limited, there's not many left, but I would highly recommend. When we've gone to events, we've gotten to have little snippets of Brandon, of his training, and of his, we actually got to watch him work with a gentleman the first time we met him.
That was amazing.
Yes, this man was hard-shelled, businessman, quite successful in what he did, and Brandon got down to his deepest core. His name was Bob. And so the joke of the weekend, this was a whole weekend event. Brandon was just, popped in for a short time and everything. So everybody was going, what about Bob? What about Bob? And that's probably why I remember his name so well. But it just to watch him work, to watch him teach is priceless. So if anybody wants to get more information on that, put your information in the chat, because we would love to have you join us. And we're actually doing this road trip. She's coming from Chicago area down here to Texas, and then we're going to go over to Utah. To just fly into Las Vegas was outrageous right now. And it's not that much as what if it gets canceled? I had a friend that got stranded overseas after falling in Europe, breaking, I think it was both arms, face planted. I mean, I need to go back and look and see all her injuries. She was in the hospital there for several days, and then they were able to get us transport to bring her home. So, I'm not a fan of getting stranded. I have two other friends, different groups, stranded in airports, one for 24 hours, one for pushing 48 at this moment because of the shortages of flights.
Right. Things are happening.
They same thing with the power that we talked to on that news.
A few weeks ago.
Yeah. So be sure to go back and look at our news breaks. But it's travel's getting less fun. I mean, I liked the days when you could go and you could get on the plane whenever you wanted. Your friends could go on with you and say goodbye and get back off.
Yeah, drop you off at the gate and walk back from the gate.
No. I mean, my friends back when I traveled a lot as a child, I flew a lot. And I mean, they could go on the plane with me.
Oh, yeah.
And get off. I mean, walk across, and we would walk across the tarmac and up the stairs. So, I mean, I go a little back on that, but yeah, travel's not nearly the fun. And all the perks, they've taken all the perks away and they haven't given them back. Same thing with hotels. The world is changing. So we must still be grateful for what we have. We do have airplanes. We do have choices, but we have chosen a road trip. Number one, it'll let us spend some time together, because when we've been together before, it's been in groups of people. So some of the things we wanted to do or talk about, we didn't get to finish. And so that'll be great. She'll get to come see where I am.
See your chickens.
Well, and right before we came on to film, he said, come look at your black-eyed peas, because he has put in a big garden this year. And the black-eyed peas, you are going to have a mess of black-eyed peas and cornbread. So yeah, I hope you like some Southern cooking.
I do. And the thing is, for me, going on a road trip, I haven't been on a road trip in probably 4 years. And I like one of the things that I like to do is long distance drive. I like it. To me, it's relaxing. People say to me, you're kidding, because I'm going to do it as a real road trip. A friend of mine, she just had her first, a new grandbaby, going to go from the Chicago area to Tulsa. It's only 10 hours. And people are saying to me, it's only 10 hours. I said, yeah, that's a short drive. But you know what? So that's what we were talking about. Find something that you like to do. That's what I like to do. And people say to me, but you're going to do all that by yourself? It's like, well, yeah, that's what I like to do. For me, it is relaxing. It's regrouping. I listen to my music. I listen to podcasts. I listen to tapes. I put things that I have a CD player, put on things that I don't take the time to listen to. I've got so many things planned for what I'm going to be doing while I am driving, because that's what I like to do. That's one of my love languages. So that's what, if ever I get married again, it's going to have to be with somebody who also likes to long distance drive, because that's something that it feeds my soul. Find the things that feed your soul. And that when you can feed your soul, that brings up your love language, that brings up your alignment, and that brings up all the positivity. And that's what we're trying to do in the world. Bring up the positivity of the world.
If it's a good thing, you're feeding your soul.
If it's
so many people, they call them bad habits.
Yes.
We call them bad habits, but there are things that feed your soul in a negative way. Right. Gossip, slander, bad eating, all those things are going to do the spiral down of your soul, because you've seen those people that you think, oh, do you know better, or do you care? or do, so many different things run through your mind. They may not be good thoughts, but they run through your mind
Right.
about people when you see them out. And, or, a parent being angry with a child over spilling milk, okay, and taking it out on the child rather than just saying, it's okay. Everybody has spilt their milk at some time and cleaning it up. But it
Yeah.
needs that parent's soul to be angry. And that could have been how they were raised. And so they think that is an appropriate action. So, kind of check yourself at the door,
Right.
check yourself and think, am I feeding my soul? I mean, that next piece of candy, and you've already had 3, and it's chocolate, and chocolate is your love language. Well, if you're feeding your soul too many pieces of chocolate too often,
Mm-hmm.
that can be detrimental. If it's
Right.
an occasional, just, delight,
Right.
that's not bad. It's not a sin. But if you do it every day, if you eat 3 Hershey bars, big size, in one day, that could be feeding your soul and your body in a bad way, and both will react badly.
Right. Right. And so that brings me to another point too, is that practice forgiveness.
Yes.
Start with forgiving yourself. If you do something that I can't believe I just did that, or I said that, or whatever that is, practice forgiveness. Because one of the things I heard a quote from one of my mentors just the other day, we were talking, and he said, you know what, if you had a child and had gone out to a sporting event that they were part of, that they were playing basketball or whatever they were doing, and they had a tough day, and so they kind of got beaten up and they fell down and came home, would you sit there and beat up on them and throw them to the ground saying, why didn't you do better? Why did you do that?
Some
No.
parents do. Some
And
parents
do. But that's what we do to ourselves so often. We beat ourselves up. Okay, yeah, you've already done it. Practice forgiveness.
Yes.
To yourself and then to others.
Yes. And forgiving yourself is the hardest
thing.
Forgiveness that most people deal with. Most of them, that's their hardest one.
Yeah. We beat ourselves up for things that happened 20 years ago. Let it go. Let it go.
Yeah.
Movie Frozen. Let it go. Let it go. But that's what is absolutely so important. So this is, we don't want to get so far out there, but you know what? We need to align with what we believe. Yeah. And when you are in alignment with what you believe and the source that you believe it from.
And if your source is lying to you, if they're not a good source, whether it's a human source or a spiritual source, you might want to look at it and think, ooh, do I need to change sources? Do I need to change? The saying is that you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And so think about that. If you're not spending time with people that lift you up, you may need to change.
You may need to change.
And some of them might be your family, so you don't have a choice but to be around them. So you may have to, and we probably need to talk about boundaries in one of our shows.
Oh yes, we'll do that next week.
Boundaries can be good things. Boundaries can be good things if done properly. So anyway,
have an awesome week.
Yes.
So let's go back. Practice forgiveness. Do something good for yourself. It's because my last statement for the day then is self-care is not selfish. It is essential.
Yes. But I want to say something to that real quick before we get off. Some people go, I need self-care. And they let their kids go wanting, or they get, and there's boundaries. A person talking about the dads. Dads, you're there for your children. You're not there to sit and tell them to get out from in front of the TV. If you need self-care, mothers and dads, get up 10 minutes early and do your self-care.
Right.
Get up 10 minutes early and do a quiet time. Make sure your heart is ready for the day. And that starts with the gratitude that we talked about last week. That's the gratitude and love are the basics,
Yeah.
the very basics. So if you feel tired, if you feel run down, if you feel put upon, you may not be taking your self-care to
Right.
first thing in the morning.
Right.
You know, if you have to set your alarm to get up 10 minutes before you have to get the kids up for school getting ready will be so much better.
Exactly.
I know a young lady used to just scream at her kids, get up, get up, get up. But when she started getting up earlier, things went smoother because she gave that time first to the Father and second to herself.
Exactly.
Okay. And I mean,
Exactly.
Father God, not
Exactly.
husband, but so there's a way to navigate everything here. You just have to find it.
Yes.
So be sure
That's
to
our
comment and chat and share it with
Yes.
people, because
Share
we
it.
love bringing you all these tidbits.
Yep.
So,
Yep. So have an awesome day. We'll see you
Yeah.
next week.
bye.
Bye.